We have a really interesting show for you today, and I've got two guests instead of just one. And it's very interesting to hear who they are and what they do. So let me introduce them to you. Our first guest is Leesa Rowland, and she is a notable actress who has a cult following for her roles predominantly in horror movies. I have to tell you, Leesa, I don't go to horror movies. I'm too scared all the time. From childhood, she could easily identify her prime assets and attributes and is now using her wisdom to help others discover their inner stars in her new book, Discovering the It Factor Within You. The book takes readers on a journey through her colorful past and her contemplative path to self-discovery. My other guest is Robin Cofer, and I must admit, Robin, everything that you do I can't pronounce. So you're going to have to inform us a little bit. I know that you're very spiritual, that you've done a lot of study with yogas and gurus, and you were also confirmed in the Episcopal tradition at St. Thomas Church on Fifth Avenue in November of 2014. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so that we can get started on the show.
Sure. Okay. Would love to. Well, my background is classical ballet. So I'm a classically trained dancer, and I had a professional career for many years, starting at 14 years of age. I transitioned into yoga in my late 20s, and I owned my own yoga studio on the Upper East Side for 15 years. I studied in India for a number of months. I'm certified in at least 7 lineages of yoga, sort of lost track. And I attended seminary, the Temple of Kriya Yoga, based in Chicago and France, with Sri Goswami Kriyananda, who's considered fully illumined. I was ordained as a Swami priest, and then I later attended a chaplaincy program, 2-year program, so I'm also a chaplain. And let's see, and I'm also a writer, a poet.
Well, that gives us a lot about you. That's excellent. So this book that we're going to talk about, did you both contribute to it?
Yes, indeed, we did.
Okay, so who would like to answer the question as to what inspired you to write the book?
Well, the book began as my personal journal. I was journaling because I went through so many things that were so difficult to even talk about, and I found that journaling, I could talk about it where I couldn't verbally get it out. And fast forward 5 years, it became a book, and it took form, and I included Robin, and who I've learned so much from. And I just really wanted to reach out and help other people.
That's very interesting, because I'm sure you journaled a lot differently than I do. I journal every night, but my submissions are very short. It's kind of a wrap-up of the day and what's happened, and then I list a really big thought that I've had and so forth. But it's certainly not enough, I don't think, for a book. But that's interesting that journaling led to that, because people are told to journal, that journaling really helps them solve problems, solve issues, get rid of their evil spirits within them and so forth. So it's very interesting that that's how you wrote your book. I think that's fascinating. So tell us, how does the book benefit individuals?
Well, I talk about how I overcame a lot of obstacles that were in my way, and I discuss the different tools that I used to overcome them.
Well, it's interesting because, Leesa, I don't have a picture of Robin here, but I have a picture of you, and you're a beautiful woman. And most people who have your looks and your intelligence would not feel that there are any obstacles. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, that's a big fallacy. I mean, often when you're a beautiful, physically, considered beautiful by our cultural standards, it can even be used against you. Oh, the cliches, oh, they're so beautiful, they must be dumb. I mean, the cliches are, from here to Texas and back. So, that's something that really needs to be, that's a book in and of itself. I don't want to hog everything, Leesa. Oh, so So what exact can you rephrase the question?
Well, the question I asked was how the book benefited individuals. That's what I asked. But I would also like to know what the title of your book means. So maybe Robin can answer that.
Oh, well, I mean, how, for me, the title means how to access your absolute creative potential. Um, I mean, it brings out what makes you you in particular, explicitly, specifically. Bring out all of your authenticity that the world needs to see. There's only one you, right? There's only one Leesa, one Robin, and you have things that no one else has that the world needs, and you need to go inside and reflect and bring them out. You know, we live in a culture where everything is everyone is obsessed with glitter and my goodness, from reality TV to just the material hedonism. And if you don't reflect and develop your ability to um, for self-awareness and to examine what's really going on in the inner workings of your mind and what makes you you, you're shortchanging yourself, and you're not honing your skill sets that could really propel you for much more success than you're enjoying.
Well, I agree with you. One of the things that I talk about in the programs that I have are people's uniqueness. And of course, the majority of people do not really believe there's anything unique about them. And I always say, ask your good friends. They will always find things that are so unique about you that you consider just ordinary things that you do every day, but they consider very unique because they don't do them. So it's very true what you're saying, that everybody does have that special something within them.
And
So,
that special something to me is your it factor.
well, then that's exactly what I was going to ask you next was, what do you mean by believe in the it factor within you? But again, how do you get people to do that? That's not an easy call.
It is not an easy call.
Exactly.
And I had so much pain, so many emotional triumphs um, from times that I had very low esteem, so self-esteem, that I came from a very low place and brought myself up. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. So I wanted to give other people the skills that I used to overcome all of this and to discover that light inside of me.
Well, now you're going to be doing a book tour with this particular book. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And tell us a little bit about how long did it take for you to do the research, write the book, and have it published?
Well, I would say total about 6 years. Began journaling, like I said, and I began like you when I was journaling. I've always journaled, but my mother was killed, and a lot of things that were
Process.
I couldn't even. They were so hard, so difficult for me to process that I couldn't even talk about it. But I found that just journaling a little every evening helped. Then I could get out of. I could discuss it. I could think about it, and a lot of people get stuck and they don't think that there's a way out. And if you journal, it really, really helps, because then you can lay it out there, see what's really bothering you, see your strengths, see your weaknesses. It's very important.
How old were you when you started journaling?
I journaled as a child. I had a very difficult childhood, and I journaled as a child, and I was really shy, and the only friends that I really had were my pets and my pen.
Well, I think it's very important for kids to journal. I think it allows them to release a lot of emotions, and I think it also allows them to to get out what they're holding inside, And I have to agree with you, about having a pet. We kid around because when I do my radio shows, my cat comes in, my dog comes in, and very often people hear them in the background. But it's they're wonderful. They're wonderful. They're wonderful companions. So I think it's wonderful that you did start journaling when you were a kid. Now let me ask you a question. Did your journals change in tone as you went from child to, let's say, teen to adult?
Absolutely. And there were times in there where I didn't journal at all. And I would say that those were the times that I was the most lost in my life.
Interesting. Very interesting. So if you could describe your book in 3 words, what would they be?
Well, 3 words. Realizing your passion. I would say passion.
Self-awareness.
And your vibrancy.
Yeah, vibrancy.
So how did the two of you connect and get together on this?
I took yoga classes and spiritual classes from Robin. She's one of my mentors.
Isn't that interesting that how important having a mentor is? People often ask, who was my mentor? Who did I have? Who was my coach? Things like that. And I have to tell you, my biggest mentor was my mom. She was so instrumental in how I think, how I make decisions, how I lead my life. And she was not what you would call normally an educated woman. She never graduated high school because in those days you left school to go to work to send your brother to college. And yet she was the smartest woman I knew and extremely loyal. So it's interesting. I'm glad that you have a mentor like that. And Robin, what was your feeling towards Leesa?
Oh, boy. Immediately I knew that she was a gem and that her heart was, she has goosebumps, so cute, that she was aligned with the divine, if you will. Her heart is massive. Her intention is pure. And I knew that we would be in each other's lives forever on this earth. She's one of a kind. We all are, but she has tremendous light because she for the very fact that because her intention is so pure. This is stressed in Eastern thought, but also in Christianity. I mean, what is the message of Jesus? Love, be loving, and if you give love, you will be loving. And who doesn't want to be loving? And love heals.
It does. It really does. So, who would you say that your intended audience is for this book?
I would say anybody who is starting out on their journey or anybody who is starting over.
So if you were, all right, now when you go and you do your book tour, I assume that you're doing it in bookstores. Is that correct?
Right. I've already done, I went back to Austin, where I'm from. I'm from Austin, Texas. I went to Austin and did a few daytime shows and a couple of bookstore tours. And
so if people wanted to get your book, how would they do that?
Primarily on the internet. It's in quite a few bookstores, but definitely on Amazon.
Fantastic. Well, now, tell my audience how your past has made you the strong leader that you are today.
Well, in order to be a leader, I think you have to have humility yourself. I think you have to earn your own humility because you can't lead unless you've been there and made mistakes and made triumphs. You might think you can, but that's not the part that makes you a leader.
Well, Do you really think that many of our leaders today have humility? I kind of find that lacking.
That's why they're failing, because they're leading with their ego. Um, and that's why. And you can't fool the public. You might fool the public for a while, but not forever. People are not stupid. Do not underestimate people's